Hi everyone, I'm George from DoraHacks and welcome to the ETHToronto Winners Demo Session. I'll be your host and moderator for this demo session, and please feel free to reach out to me at any time via my email, george@dorahacks.com, or my Telegram at gp_Dora if you'd like to connect and chat more about building a project or partnerships with Dora. For a bit of background on this demo session, earlier in August, DoraHacks proudly supported the ETHToronto Hackathon. ETHToronto was a 3-day hackathon where teams came together and were challenged to build the future by developing the next big innovation in blockchain technology. There were two types of competitions that the hackers could participate in. The first being the overall ETHToronto Hackathon competitions, and the second being the ETHToronto Bounty competitions. To view some of the projects who participated in ETHToronto Hackathon, please feel free to visit DoraHacks.io and click on the Hackathon tab where you will find ETHToronto and the build submitted. ETHToronto was a great opportunity for hackers to build and win a share of prizes on offer through bounties and also the main hackathon. With us today, we've got 3 fantastic projects joining us to speak about their project and give us a demo. First up, we have Realtime malicious transaction detector for on-chain contracts who achieved second place in the Moonbeam bounty. The same team also submitted Validator Bridge, and this was the winner of the Omnia Protocol bounty. Second up, we'll hear from the Momentix team, who was the #1 finalist of the overall ETHToronto Hackathon competition. Last but not least, we have SoulFund, who achieved a first place in the Moonbeam bounty and a third place for the CryptoChicks bounty. For the audience, please feel free to share any questions that you may have during the session in the YouTube or Binance Live chat room. We're happy to ask the team these questions as we go. So without further ado, let's welcome the Realtime malicious transaction detector for on-chain contracts and Validator Bridge team to present their project to us. Welcome, guys, and congrats on your achievements at ETHToronto.
Awesome. So I'm here with my teammate Abdel. Abdel, are you able to present the slide?
I'm just going to get my teammate Alex or Mark to go over.
Sure. Sorry about that, bit of technical difficulties to start.
So Alex, why don't you take it from here?
All right. Thanks a lot, George. Glad we could help out while the other team is troubleshooting. So thank you very much for having us. We are Momentix, and we're proud to say that we were the #1 overall winners at the ETHToronto conference. So what we've created is an NFT-gated event access and then post-event memorabilia for whatever event you go to. So with Momentix, you get all of your favorite memories right in your wallet, making the world of ticketing a whole lot more exciting. So with Momentix, what happens is you will receive an NFT ticket that lets you get access to whatever event you're going to, whether that is a concert, a sporting event, anything else. You can scan the NFT ticket to access the event, and then during and after the event, you can watch it transform to contain highlights that you can then cherish forever. So we identified a couple key gaps in the ticketing industry, with NFT tickets being able to offer some advantages both for the vendors and for the users. So for the vendors, you get greater flexibility over the ability to transfer tickets. There's 3 types of tickets that we are proposing, and we'll go over each of these in a little bit more detail later on. As a vendor, you also get the ability to set royalties on any ticket resales that might happen. We're proposing a simple API plugin, so we're not trying to reinvent the wheel of currently existing platforms like Ticketmaster. What we're building is really a plugin that serves to complement what already exists out there, and allows users to also get their tickets as NFTs. And then it helps establish a fan community, so the vendors can leverage the NFTs for things like giveaways, merch discounts, future benefits, etc. For users, the advantages are scam-proof reselling, and we'll talk about how that works in a second. Real-time ticket updating, so the ticket will have 3 forms: one pre-event, one at the event, and then another post-event. You'll see all that. And then you get to keep memorabilia that stays in your wallet forever. after the event is done. So how it works. First, the vendor, so whoever's organizing the event, would select a smart contract with 3 different options for NFTs. So there's 3 types of tickets that we are proposing. Well, first of all, regular tickets, which are transferable at any time. And these would be used for most concerts and sporting events. You buy the ticket, you're able to resell it at any time. Then we're proposing a time unlock ticket, which is only resellable X number of days before an event. And this is great for preventing scalpers from buying tickets in bulk and then immediately dumping those onto the market, which is something that people have been seeing a lot of lately. And then soulbound tickets. So these are NFTs that are unable to be transferred, and this is ideal for events where the ticket shouldn't be transferable. For example, ETHToronto. ETHToronto was an event where hackers got invited on a selection basis, so you really had to be approved to be part of the hackathon, and you don't want those tickets to be able to be transferred to somebody, to a random person off the street. So there's different types of tickets that are each applicable for different events. So once the vendor selects what type of tickets they want to sell, a buyer can go onto your website to buy the ticket. We have the option of buying the ticket in crypto, as well as going down the traditional route of buying a ticket via credit card. So if you do choose to buy a ticket with crypto, or connecting with your MetaMask online wallet, you would log into your wallet, sign and approve a message. What would happen then is, as a user, you would receive an NFT ticket and a QR code. So this is a sample of what it could look like for something like ETHToronto. Here you get to see the minting process. So you connect your wallet, choose your MetaMask account. Once that's all connected, the user would receive a QR code and the NFT sent directly to their wallet, which you can open up on websites like OpenSea, LooksRare, all of the good ones, and any website for that matter. So we're not limiting your tickets to one specific platform. To scan into the event, you would present your QR code. And the way we've structured our QR codes is that it contains information from the NFT metadata. So once you're scanning into the event, the scanner will verify that the holder of the NFT matches the name that is written on that QR code. So if at any point before the event, if the NFT is transferred, those two would not line up, and it would not be considered a valid ticket. On the contrary, if those two do line up, the QR code matches the owner of the NFT, you would have a valid ticket and you would be able to get into the event. At this point, a signal would trigger the NFT to update to show something like the person being admitted to the event. So this is great for reselling of tickets because you get to see when a ticket has been used. So this prevents scammers and any fraudulent activity. And you can see all that on chain right before the event. And we'll get into a little bit of how you can transfer your tickets before an event. So you might have questions. I mentioned the QR code metadata has to match the NFT metadata. But how does that work if a ticket is resold? So first of all, the advantages of NFT tickets and Momentix tickets is that the collections are verifiably originals, right? So you can go online to OpenSea, check the smart contract. You can just check that it's a verified collection to make sure that you are not getting scammed and you're buying the real deal of a ticket. The tickets can be resold on any open marketplace, and it's possible as long as those time constraints of soulbound NFTs and time unlock NFTs are not broken. Once the new owner receives their NFT ticket, they would just have to go back to our original website to receive a new unique QR code. So only one QR code would ever let you scan into the event at a time. So we're not running into the problem of multiple QR codes being used to access the event. Now, after the event, the NFT would transform once more to contain highlights from the event. So for ETHToronto, what we did is, we just made a quick, short recap video of what you would potentially see your NFT transform into. And the great thing about this is there's no need to do anything. This NFT is already in your wallet, and it'll automatically and dynamically update. So now that the event's done, you have proof of attendance and a cool NFT to go with it. You can keep it in your wallet for memories. You can sell your NFT to others who want it for the hype. And as a vendor, you can add bonus perks to NFT holders. So for example, let's say you've collected 3 tickets to Blue Jays games. Well, maybe now you're eligible for 20% off at the merch store or 10% off at the concession stand. Things like that. 2 things that we wanted to add to our project, but just didn't have the time to. First of all, is Apple Wallet integration, which would make for an even easier and seamless experience for the end user. And that would kind of cut out the middle step of having to go through a QR code. This is something since the conference that we've explored in more detail, and we found that this is very possible. So we'll be continuing to explore this, as well as adding a level of randomness to NFTs post-event that will allow for tiers of highlights. So for example, 50% of attendees might randomly get a random highlight reel play. 25% of attendees could receive the game-winning goal or buzzer beater. And then if you're really lucky, you could get the grand slam or the buzzer beater by LeBron James, something that's historically a great collectible. So that's it from our team. We're very excited to keep building out this product. Do we have any questions?
Perfect. Thanks, guys. Thanks for your presentation. Looks like a great project you guys are building. I've actually recently myself done a bit of research into NFT ticketing, and I noticed a platform, Yellow Heart, which does something, or is a similar kind of platform. So I was wondering, what are the key differences, and how do you plan to compete with people in the same space that are building the same kind of thing?
I think what we've seen a lot of so far from other NFT ticketing developers or platforms, a lot of times they are trying to push their own platform or app, which is great if that's the way you want to go. But I think for the end user, that really creates a barrier of entry. As someone who's just going to a sporting event or concert, you don't want to have to set up an account here and then download an app here to be able to access your NFT tickets. Our idea with what we're building is that this is something that's easy to integrate into existing websites. And as the world continues to dive down the Web3 rabbit hole, I think more and more users will get onboarded into the space. More and more people by default will have their own set of private keys, whether they know that or not. But they'll be able to control their own assets, right? So what we're building is really a plugin that allows anyone and everyone to easily connect and break down the barriers of having to take those extra steps to collect your NFT. So it's as simple as just connecting with your MetaMask or Wallet Connect, whatever wallet that may be. Signing one transaction, right? No gas fees, and getting your ticket there.
Got it. And then in terms of the revenue model for you guys, are you taking a percentage of transactions, or how are you kind of commercializing your product?
That's something that would have to be discussed within the team. But there are a couple of options. Whether that's generating revenue from ticket sales, a portion of that, whether a portion of that is coming from the resale and royalties on tickets, which is easy to set up with NFTs. There's a number of business models, and I think all of them are up for us to be explored. That's definitely something we'll have to think about more in the future.
Sure, perfect. All right, well, thanks, guys. Thanks, Alex, Harrison, and Mark. Thank you for your time. And yeah, now we'll move on to the next project. And like I said at the start, guys, anyone in the audience, feel free to ask any questions, and I will put them forward to the teams if you have anything. So welcome, Heidi and Vance.
Yeah. Hey, everyone.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I'm also going to be deferring to Isaac and or Ling to answer a few questions as well. Is Isaac in the chat room present?
I'm not sure. Let me just check. I believe at this stage it might just be only you two.
Okay, well, if Ling pops in, he's going to be taking, they said that they were going to be taking a portion of this call, so that's totally fine. Van,
Sure.
I can defer to you also. I am just super excited to be here to give you guys a little bit more of a background about me. I dove into business quite a few years ago. I founded my first business as one of 4 founders and transitioned out of that one via an acquisition, and I'm super happy to be here. I'm loving learning from everyone in this room, and it's just such an honor to be around such big thinkers. I'm continuously inspired by founders and just by startups in general. So thank you guys for that. And I am really excited to dive into the presentation. I am going to share my screen. Hopefully it goes smoothly. Okay. Can you guys see what I'm looking at?
Perfect. Yep.
Awesome. So Decentral, before we dive into kind of what we had done in the hackathon and what we're going to be doing in the future, I thought it would be important to share everything our business is built upon, right? Everything we do is built around a singular belief system, and that is the people who are crazy enough to change the world usually do. And they should feel secure online when doing it. I thought it appropriate to share this just because it's so important to share the why of our business, because when we do that, it allows for everyone to connect to the mission at a little bit of a higher level, moving right along. So Decentral exists to serve founders to supercharge their revenue by making it as safe as possible to expand their global market by prioritizing information security, contract creation, automation, and data-driven decision making. To some, our platform handles the messy, complex cybersecurity nuances that are essential for startups at a cost-effective price point. So when it comes to DoraHacks, we thought about kind of how do we incorporate a new thought pattern or a new idea into our already existing structure, right? So this is a really fun project that we got to work on. So the solution that we were working on during the hackathon was we worked to create an AI tool that cleans up the mempool by allowing for every blockchain node operator to follow compliance for anti-money laundering. Sorry, it froze there for a second for me. Anyway, there has been over 2 billion in bridge hacks in 2021 alone. Blockchain applicants cannot evolve until cross-chain transactions can be secured. The problem is twofold. Users want to take advantage of the promise of Web3 and DeFi. Why do we do this, right? Why? They do this to seek a better life for themselves. They know Web 2 is not the answer since corporations prey on their data. We all are victim to this. Every single person watching this video, every single person in this entire chat room has experienced this on one side or another. Artists, musicians, shoe retailers are using NFTs to fund their projects. Some people don't have a high enough paying job opportunities in their own country to even make a living. Others in corrupt jurisdictions want out of their financial system. But the promise has not been fulfilled. New users that come into this space are risking their life savings. When a bridge or dApp gets hacked, there is no retribution. All the people lose their funds and have no way of getting it back. Protocols that lose their funds often end up folding or going out of business. Case in point with Harmony, Nomad, etc. If we look at the data, one would have so many hours of their own research in order to know if something is safe or not. This puts a huge strain on startups. It's a huge issue. So by the promise not being fulfilled, new users that come into this space are risking their own life savings. So it becomes this super, super dangerous thing. And as you can tell, by integrating this type of, product into the industry, we can prevent massive losses. So when we talk about fraud, I want to be clear here. We categorize fraud as a binary prediction, and we flag it as either fraud or not fraud. That said, in the future, we will and can create a score system where the fraud is represented as a gradient or some sort of scale. So we offer threat assessments of transactions like Web3, RPC API, risk indicators. We, talk about fraud types, alert systems. All of these are under our transactions. And the cool thing about this is that as we start to grow our business, as we start to, nurture our solution, the more transactions that pop up, we'll be able to start to cover and scan those for fraudulent activity as well. So other unique elements to our program, as this is an open source project, if an engineer participates, they can receive revenue. And if there's a material benefit to this product, they can get remunerated. This applies to anyone who participates. So some of our indirect competitors, right? These both have Web3 PRC APIs. That's Etherscan and Infura. So in this section is typically when I was going to allow Isaac and or Ling to explain. If someone else is here, I can't see you guys just because it's closed. But if someone else wanted to take this and run with it, that would be an awesome thing to do.
Yeah, so the idea is, if you're familiar with the concept of mempool, when a transaction would be submitted, for example, to a chain that has a mempool like Ethereum mainnet, we could simulate that transaction, emulate it, and, for example, see if there could be a malicious or not expected result of that transaction. So let's say maybe somebody changed some permissions on a contract, getting ready to maybe withdraw funds that they shouldn't, or they're trying to exploit a contract. We can act on that and create a notification notifying the kind of contract creator or whoever else wants to subscribe to notifications for that specific contract that just something isn't right and it's going to get mined soon, so you better react fast. So that's kind of the idea. And then Heidi, we can then move on.
Awesome. Yeah, that was a really, really great explanation of what's going on here. I'm happy that you jumped in. As you can see, obviously, because this is a blockchain technology, it can be replicated and it will be eventually integrated into the industry. So we're looking forward to that. Moving right along. So this is our product demonstration. To bring the product to life a little bit, I'm going to show you guys a video of what it looks like to put this into, into practice on the creator point of view. Obviously, we would dress this up massively when it comes to branding, when it comes to, having a public image. That said, I am going to let the video roll. And after I am speaking in the video, if anyone else wants to jump in with their perspective and or take on any sort of information that could be useful at this time, please go ahead and do so, Van.
I'll make some commentary on this.
Okay,
So during the hackathon, one of our main ideas was that we wanted to create a contract simple enough that we could complete within the course of the hackathon, and most importantly, demonstrate that we're able to have this code work in a live environment. So this contract is an example of a like a token, a very simple minting bridge. You can also think of this as a multi-sig wallet. But essentially, when a person hosts this contract, it needs to be protected. If there's a hack, say like 100 Ether gets sent out from this transaction, our tool needs to be able to detect that. So by querying, we use the Nomad hack as an example. By querying the last 10,000 transactions of the Nomad hack and running it into our machine learning pipeline, we were able to assign a score using our machine learning model of what transactions were okay or not. We created a really basic system. We labeled it as fraud, no fraud. And if it passed a certain threshold, it would be labeled as fraud and not allowed to proceed. So the way, like the reason and rationale for why we made this design is, if you think about it, if a transaction in the mempool doesn't have enough gas, or the nonce is incorrect, or it's just the parameters are not done correctly, there's no way that the transaction is going to pass. That's just how the blockchain is designed. And we wanted to have that same level of our business. The way our application works is that our business logic has the same level of control, so that if we were able to detect a malicious transaction, it can be flagged with over 99.99% accuracy. In this case, and in the hackathon, we achieved 100% accuracy with the Nomad bridge transactions as a demonstration. And this code is on our GitHub. So in terms of creating this as a usable tool for most of the blockchain ecosystem, right? There's a two-sided problem. Bridges are not, bridges and DeFi apps that rely on bridges or just any type of contract that holds value are insecure. And most of the blockchain ecosystem is powered by those contracts. So we wanted to have a solution that is easy to implement. And we basically combined the machine learning model with this transaction monitor and alerting system, since no matter what, if you want to prevent the transactions from occurring, you must have to alert the owners of the transactions. So that would be the final piece tying it together.
Awesome. I'll take it away from there. Yelling.
Yep.
Awesome. So how are we different, right? What is our secret sauce, right? So on-chain transaction emulators will have labeled data, customer transformers, and trained modules. These are just 4 of the ways that we will be setting ourselves apart from not only the current competition within the industry, but how we will perceive future organizations will start to, integrate new innovations as the industry shifts and changes over time. So our consumers are usually split up into 3 different categories. Obviously, you can see them here: the top 40 NFT companies, top 100 DeFi companies, and top 30 Layer 2 companies. So our pricing is pretty straightforward, right? Our product is a subscription. Our subscription has a standard plan for individuals at a price point of just $200 a month. Our product can give them notifications with sub-minute latency on all transactions. This will allow us to identify if a transaction is fraudulent or not, and then in the future, it'll show us whether or not that transaction is fraudulent on a specific scale, right? And then our higher level offer, that enterprise or an advanced offer, is $1,000 a month. And our enterprise plan is for larger organizations that have a high emphasis on building trust between their users and financial mechanisms provided by their platforms. Thank you so much for watching. Again, my name is Heidi Williams. Please go ahead and follow us on Decentral Inc. on Twitter. We would love to have you over there. We're going to be having tons of super fun conversations, and stay tuned for more information.
Thanks, team. Appreciate it. Thank you for your presentation.
Of course. And I'm going to be deferring to other people in the chat room for questions.
Sure, no worries. So one of the first questions I had was in relation to that slide you had earlier, which had the different years and kind of the malicious attacks and the money that's been lost, and then you had your projection. I was just hoping to understand a little bit better how you came up with that projection of kind of what the losses will be in the future using your product?
So we base this off of existing work done in the cybersecurity space. So there's a lot of companies that do deep packet analysis outside of the realm of crypto. That like F5 would be an example, or say there's like Palo Alto Networks, and these figures are based on what has already been achieved using machine learning, and we know that there are challenges, but there are also many similarities, and there's also many advantages in terms of how quickly we could train our machine learning model. For example, if we're only using the metadata in the mempool, each transaction will contain like the to, from, address. That's much easier to train than, say, an image, and that's what allows us to give our machine learning model the ability to impact in real time. And we also don't want to promise that this is like completely unsinkable or infallible. I think that it'd be wrong to make that promise. So we based all these factors into how we've made that prediction.
Got it. Yeah. And I mean, the last slide you mentioned, obviously the cost for people to use your product. So how do you aim to onboard users and get people to actually, pay to use your product?
If we break down like all the DeFi bridge hacks in this space, we'll notice like a pretty common recurring theme. When a protocol gets hacked for a large amount, they will usually offer a bug bounty for roughly 10% of what that amount is for the malicious person to return those funds. And if you just look at the historical data, basically is very, very rare, or it's incomplete. It's like less than 5%, or like 17% of the stolen funds are actually returned. So for a lot of companies, this seems like a no-brainer, because they can either throw caution to the wind and lose, between hundreds of millions to $1 billion, or they can get more protection proactively upfront and better predict their business success and better prevent their business from running into existential risks. Oftentimes, there's a lot of projects that after they get hacked, that they just are unable to function as a business and have to close down. So our pricing model is based on the value that we provide, and the cost is, I would say, 10% of the losses or the damages that we could mitigate. So I just see this as a no-brainer.
Yeah. No, understood. And in terms of a roadmap going forward, what do you guys have planned for the next, for the foreseeable future, next 3-6 months?
We definitely want to build the first version of this as like a package product. So if we create like an end-to-end functionality, we already have the ability to detect flag transactions, and the missing puzzle piece would be an alerting system plus a programmable SDK. So let's say that instead of just being alerted, a company can follow our documentation and implement a pause function on their smart contract. Then they can also, by using our product, they can follow the instructions and say when something triggers a breach notification, automatically invoke the pause contract with a transaction that has a very high amount of gas, so that transaction will basically make it through first. We're also thinking of creating a more expanded model. Maybe Yvonne can basically hop in here, but based on initial discussions, if we can create a universal standard for all node operators in the world to use this product or use this SDK, they can use our software and scan all the transactions, and when there's a malicious transaction detected, we can circumvent that by redirecting it into a multi-signature wallet and requiring our protocol, either our native currency, or we can do like a token as well with ETH2. That can be used as the means to reclaim those lost amounts.
Got it. Cool. All right. Well, thank you guys. Thanks, team, for talking us through your project. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
So moving on to the next project, we have got SoulFund with us. Welcome, guys.
Hey, thanks for having us.
How's it going? Thanks for having us.
Okay, let me share my screen.
So I think Ben's going to go over the just the basic idea of our project and some of the interface he's been working on, and then I'll walk us through some of the functionality on the contracts.
Perfect.
Great. So unlike the other teams who wisely did a PowerPoint, we didn't make one, so you'll have to bear with us on their front end, and I'll explain roughly what we were working on. So SoulFund, the idea was to have a decentralized, flexible vesting funds contract built on top of soulbound tokens. So it's a mouthful and it's a lot to unpack. So let's look at it through the lens of a trust fund. So today, trust funds have three components. There is a grantor, the person funding the contract, the beneficiary, the person receiving the contract, the funds in the trust fund, and then the trustee, who's the trusted middleman overseeing the fund. So the first part of this is the kind of no-brainer, which I think you see me going into, is that if you put this service on a blockchain, you have it on a smart contract, there's no need for the trusted middleman, the trustee, which is cool, but not that exciting. The really exciting part to us, to me and our team, was having flexible contracts, flexible trust funds. So let's look at it through an example. Let's say your parents leave you $15 million in a trust fund, which vests in 20 years. That's great, but there could be problems on both sides. You know, you as the receiver, as the beneficiary, might not want to wait 20 years to receive the $15 million. And your parents might not be happy if there's a situation where you're not doing anything and just waiting for this $15 million for the next 20 years. But imagine there was a scenario, or if we had this on chain, we could have a scenario where you could go to your parents and you can be like, okay, if I do something, for example, volunteer 100 community service hours per year with one of these pre-agreed upon NGOs, let's say the UN or Habitat for Humanity or whoever, then you can actually unlock a percentage of the $15 million today. So the way we wanted to do this was through something that we're calling merit tokens. And this is really a win-win because parents are happy that you're now you're actually doing something and earning the funds that are in the trust fund. And you're happy because you get to earn some of the funds. You don't have to wait for the next 20 years to receive it. So it's a no-brainer that we were going to use soulbound tokens for our trust fund. You know, like the Momentix team explained before, soulbound tokens are tokens that you can't actually transfer to anyone. Trust funds shouldn't be transferable. But what we thought would be cool is if we also incorporate standard NFTs as merit tokens to these trust funds. And the way that would work is as follows. So imagine going back to the example of the $15 million for 20 years. Let's say you partnered with Habitat for Humanity. You work, you do the 100 hours of community service, then they can send a merit token or an NFT to the trust fund, to the soulbound token saying, hey, I actually did complete the 100 hours of community service. I can then swap this merit token for, let's say, 1% of the trust fund. It doesn't have to be 1%. It doesn't have to be 100 hours community service. It can be whatever you want. And this model can also be applied to other examples other than trust funds. You can have RSUs, for example. If you're employed by a company who's giving you stock, a lot of times the way it works is they'll make you stay there for 6 or 7 years to get the fully vested shares. But imagine you could apply the exact same idea. Let's say you as the employee don't want to wait for 6, 7 years for the funds. Then you can agree with your company on certain KPIs, which are key performance indicators, where if you as the employee contribute in such a way that you hit certain KPIs, then 10 or 15% of the stock that you would have received more down the road can be unlocked today. And again, everyone wins. Companies happy, hit their KPIs. you're happy that you get your stock today. So here's how our front end looks, and I hopefully you followed that. It's not fully working, but see roughly how it works. So you sign in here. You can enter the address of the beneficiary who you want to be the receiver of the trust fund. So this is me as the grantor, and this is the address of the beneficiary. You can set the date when you want the trust fund to fully vest. So let's say, is it 10 years from now, roughly? Next, how much ETH do I want to deposit in the trust fund? Say I'm very generous, deposit 30 ETH. And now here's the part that I was talking about before with the merit tokens. So let's say 100 hours of community service is equal to 1 merit token. And then 1 merit token can be swapped to the soulbound token for 5% of the funds that are locked in the trust fund. I'm not going to finish here. We do have the contract working. I just haven't wired it up yet completely. So if I go to my profile, again, all in one day, so you have to bear with us. But this is how the profile of the beneficiary would look. So you'll see here at these cards, these are examples of funds that you might be a part of. So let's say the Smith Family Fund. You have 30 ETH, fully vests in February 2030. Let's say you work at Apple RSU vests in Jan 2028, 15 ETH available to vest. And another example, which I didn't touch on, was government grants for, let's say, for startups. So let's say I click on here on the Smith Family Fund. You have kindparent.eth on the left. That would be the the grantor. And these are the funds that could be locked in. So let's say 10 ETH. You can also have ERC20, so 20,000 DAI, 7,000 link, the vesting date. Then there's the concept of the merit tokens that I explained. So let's say you have the option to earn 10 merit tokens per year if you do something, for example, like community service. And then you receive 0.2 ETH for each merit token, which you swap to the soulbound token, to the trust fund. And then this would be the beneficiary. Now this bottom part here is a really cool feature that Josh, my teammate, built. This is a pie chart that represents the funds that are locked in the soulbound token. These are dynamically generated. It's an SVG that comes directly from the contract itself, and it's based on the funds that are actually in the contract. So I know these numbers don't exactly add up with the pie chart right now, but the whole point is that imagine I receive 5 merit tokens, I swap the merit tokens to the contract, I withdraw an X amount of the ETH. This pie chart would dynamically be updated based on the data that's in the smart contract. So if I withdraw some ETH, the ETH will shrink from this pie chart. And then the last button here is view available tasks. So available tasks are the tasks which I would view to earn merit tokens. So the example I gave before was 100 hours of community service with Habitat for Humanity, for example. There could be a whole bunch of other tasks. It could be 50 hours with the UN, whatever. But this is where, when I click on here, I would see the tasks that are available to me to earn merit tokens, which I could use to redeem funds from my trust fund. Yeah, we also used Axelar. Josh, I'm going to touch on that.
Sure. So yeah, I'm actually going to go over quickly just what he was talking about with the SVG graphics. We use like 2 main technologies in the actual smart contract development, and that's Axelar, which allows us to bridge from pretty much any chain. So like, let's say like on this example, our SoulFund token is on Mumbai testnet, or we'll just say Polygon. But we might have merit NFTs that are issued on Ethereum or Moonbeam or any of the Axelar supported networks. This will allow you to whitelist these NFTs as merit tokens and be able to send them over to the SoulFund contract that is on Polygon, and it'll release a portion of the funds on Polygon. The other technology we used, and this is to dynamically generate these pie charts, is Chainlink price feed aggregators. This is all done to convert whatever the ERC20 or native token is stored in the soulbound token to USD and actually generate this pie chart. And it's a little buggy because, again, it was, I don't know how many hours, 36 or something for the hackathon. So it was a lot of code. I'll just quickly show you how a contract call would work. So to the right here is our Polygon contract, or it's on Mumbai. The left here is the Ropsten token. So this is where our validator addresses or contracts are. This is where we send an NFT to the Polygon network from a different network, and it would release a portion of the funds. So I'm going to deposit 0.02 wrapped Bitcoin into the soulbound token I was just on. And I'm also going to start this validator to go through Axelar and approve 5% be released. And you can see we're sending it to Polygon. This is our target contract address on Polygon. And then we have a NFT address, the NFT ID, and however much gas, I guess, is used here. So bear with me because we're on OpenSea's testnet here to show this. So it might not actually update properly, but this should have some extra value for the wrapped Ethereum here. So, or wrapped Bitcoin. So right now it's at 2557. And yeah, you can see it's at 2984. And then the value of this goes up. Also, the minutes have been just counting down because it's, I think, for a year from now. Let me grab this transaction hash and throw it into Axelar. So now we have, this is Axelar's testnet interface, and it should show us that the contract was called, the gas is paid, and then it takes around, it's been taking around 25 minutes for this to go through. So right now, this is actually called from Ropsten. The gas has been paid, and now it's just waiting on Mumbai, or on the Axelar contracts on Mumbai to approve it and execute it on chain. And then some sample transactions I did earlier show you that this one went through. And here's the address of the final call. And you can see that these are just test ERC20 tokens, but you can see that when we do release a portion of the funds, some of this comes out from the native token, like 5% comes out from all the ERC20s, and it releases to the wallet that this is assigned to. So in this case, this wallet. So yeah, I think that pretty much goes over the actual contract functionality. I did go through that kind of fast, but if there's any questions on that, let us know.
Perfect. Thanks, guys. Thanks for talking us through your project. So one of the questions I had for you guys was in terms of a target audience for users, who do you think that is, and how do you plan to market your product to these people?
So I think one of the things that Ben touched on was RSUs for companies, as well as I think companies like Polygon or like Moonbeam or whoever wants to issue grants to their to beneficiaries, they can actually set target deadlines and also commit to a certain amount of money right in the soulbound token. So we're actually able to hold both the grantor accountable as well as the beneficiary to meet guideline or to meet roadmap expectations to actually release those funds. I also think that with things like DoraHacks or hackathons, it would be really solid for say you have Polygon, Moonbeam, and Avalanche all as sponsors for the hackathon. You can touch on all those. Everybody can put in the bounties into these soulbound tokens, and or have their own merit tokens, merit NFTs on their own chain. Send them through that chain, and then it hits the soulbound token that DoraHacks issues to their winners.
Yeah, got it. In terms of like security for the smart contract on your end, how do you plan to, kind of, what's the word? How do you plan to secure, your smart contract to stop it from, any like malicious attacks or anything like that?
Right. So we did go through and audit the contract at the end, as far as with the actual releasing of the funds itself, and caught some like potential like reentrancy problems that we fixed. But the main thing with the Axelar network would be to use, I think would be to implement something like EIP 712 to have a server signed certificate or server signed message that we actually validate through the validator, whatever the chain on the validator is, as well as on the receiving chain. So wherever the SoulFund is actually being received, and that would stop anybody from being able to fake a sign or fake a signature, fake a NFT that actually they don't own.
Yeah, one thing we talked about originally was just making one soulbound contract for everyone. We quickly shifted out of that for obvious reasons. We ended up switching to a factory pattern for our contracts, just because we wouldn't want to have one contract with all the funds for everyone's funds on that one contract. So by having separate child soulbound tokens for each separate fund, we thought that would be much more secure. But the way it would work as well is each soulbound fund would have a minting functionality. So what that would mean in the case of a trust fund, for example, let's say my family has a trust fund, that would be a separate child contract. But then within that fund, we can still mint additional tokens. For example, my brother, my sister, myself, we'd each have a unique soulbound ID for that child contract.
Got it. Yeah, makes sense. Perfect. All right, guys. Well, thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
No worries. All right, guys. Well, that concludes our demo session for today. So thank you to all of the teams and presenters for joining us today and contributing your time and efforts to today's demo session. It was fantastic to hear from all of you and what your teams are building. Congrats on all of your success at ETHToronto. And I'm sure we'll see a lot more of you guys in the future. So thank you. This session has been obviously very helpful for all of us and for the community to better understand your project, your visions, and the future plans. Guys in the audience, if you do have any questions for any of the presenting teams that weren't covered already, please feel free to engage with the teams and speak to them, because I'm sure that they would happily answer anything that you have. So yeah, we have a series of events coming up in the near future like today. So if you're interested and haven't followed us on YouTube and Binance Lives, please make sure that you do so that you don't miss out on any of the upcoming sessions that we're going to host for you. So thanks again for joining us today, and we hope to see you all again soon. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, George, for hosting us.
You're welcome.